The engine range is very diverse. The basic and most popular engine is the inline-4. Until 2010, this was the OM646 engine, and on restyled cars, OM651. These engines met the needs of most buyers of these cars. OM646 motors were available in power options from 88 to 152 horsepower. On restyled cars, the OM651 engine produces from 95 to 190 horsepower. By the way, both of these inline-4s have a displacement of 2,148 and 2,143 cubic centimeters, that is, 2.1 liters. But most often they are designated as 2.2 liter. The top-end diesel, the 3-liter V6 OM642, appeared in 2005. It develops 204 and 224 horsepower. After restyling, much less common are petrol Vitos, which were equipped only with naturally aspirated V6s. Initially these were engines of the M112 family with a displacement of 3.2 or 3.7 liters, and since 2007, they were replaced with a fresh 3.5-liter M272 engine. Of course, the best options are diesel engines, which can cover more than 500,000 kilometers with low fuel consumption and minimal investment. We have detailed video breakdowns of both diesel engines listing all the weak points. The pre-styled diesel OM646 is very durable, but does not tolerate tight driving with overload. A driver who abuses such a greedy driving style can cause the crankshaft to break. You should also change the fireproof washers under the fuel injectors every 80,000 kilometers. The fuel system of the OM646 engine is durable, simple and repairable. The OM651 diesel from the updated Vito is a completely different fruit. Objectively speaking, this engine is also capable of traveling more than 500,000 kilometers, but there are serious questions about it. This diesel engine has a smart vane-type oil pump with variable output. The valve regulating the pressure relief often failed, which is why at high loads the engine did not have a sufficiently high lubricant pressure. There is also information about failures of the oil pump gates. There is a recommendation to change the oil pumps on the OM651 engine after 200,000 to 250,000 kilometers. The supplier of the fuel system for OM651 engines is Delphi. Their newfangled piezo injectors performed very poorly in the first years of production, and then they were replaced by electromagnetic injectors. All versions of the OM651 engines for the Vito use Delphi electromagnetic injectors, which are now quite successfully repaired. There are also cases when, due to a problem, one of the injectors begins to pour fuel into the cylinder, which leads to melting and burnout of the piston. Mercedes Vito engines were paired with 5- and 6-speed manual transmissions or a reliable 5-speed manual transmission. Automatic 722.6. For what reasons, besides routine maintenance, do you have to make extra visits to the service station? The starter and generator may fail. Accordingly, the engine will not start or the charging voltage will be insufficient. In both cases, repair with replacement of the solenoid relay or replacement of the relay regulator helps. You can also throw in a used starter or generator from disassembly. The radiator fans of the air conditioner may also fail. The contact wires in them fall off due to corrosion caused by reagents from the road. Fans can be easily repaired by resoldering the wires. On cars with high mileage, the engine support cushion may need to be replaced. Increased vibration indicates their wear. Also, during inspection, a cracked gearbox support damper may be found. Many Mercedes models from the 2000s have poor corrosion resistance, and the Vito is no exception. Rust appears on the lower edges of doors, on door sills, on the edges of the rear wheel arches, and on body parts behind the bumpers. The front fenders are plastic, there are no problems with them. You should carefully inspect painted parts. Serious pockets of corrosion or signs of surface repairs for sale should scare you away. In addition, you should look at the condition of the roof. Often there is swelling of the paint at the joints of the roof panel and the side parts. They say that the restyled Vito has more problems with the paintwork. The sliding door mechanism on many beads is not the most reliable and problem-free place. The sliding door should be opened and closed several times. It should slide smoothly and easily along the guides and close with even gaps around the entire perimeter. The Vito's body is also considered to lack rigidity. There have been cases when the contacts on the sliding door were deformed due to the right wheels falling into potholes. If the body has experienced heavy loads or has been damaged in an accident, the sliding door will literally dangle in its opening. In addition, there will be a lot of crickets in the cabin due to rustling upholstery. All transmission options for the Mercedes Vito are quite reliable and do not create serious problems. In a car with a manual transmission, you should carefully and meticulously click through all the gears. There should be no play. Gears should engage smoothly and not snap out while driving. Reverse gear should engage easily and the first time. The manual transmission shifter, its cables and the gear shift mechanism under the hood on the Vito are a weak point. Sometimes the gears are engaged with such difficulty that people break the handle trying to drive into gear. One fine day, the stove fan located in the central panel may creak or go silent in the Mercedes Vito. Access to the fan opens after removing the entire panel with deflectors and ventilation control panel. After this, you can lubricate the fan axis and replace the carbon brushes in the electric motor. Another common problem in the Vito interior is related to the appearance of an SRS error, but the culprit is not the airbags, but a broken wire in one of the front seat belt buckles, driver or passenger. The fastener can be disassembled and the broken wire can be soldered. Or you can replace the clasp. A new original one costs about $50. When inspecting the Vito on a lift, you should also carefully inspect the body rails for rust. You should always pay attention to the steering rack. It can fog up the seals prematurely. It is also worth carefully inspecting the damper couplings of the drive shaft. If cracked, it can hum at high speed, like a bearing. The Vito's suspension is durable and quite simple. The front control arm ball joints can be replaced separately. To do this, rivets are cut off from the original levers, the ball is removed, and the new one is installed in place and secured with bolts and nuts. Such kits are offered by good spare parts manufacturers. The rear suspension is independent. The silent blocks of the levers last a long time, but the rear springs often break off along the lower coils. Some versions of the Mercedes Vito are equipped with air springs for the rear suspension. Airbags fail once and for all. They burst and do not hold air at all. In this case, the car squats low on the deflated cushion. Today there are plenty of replacements for air cylinders, and the price of the originals is not bad. Therefore, some owners install a simplified kit, air springs instead of steel springs, add a receiver and a compressor, but do not install body position sensors. These same body level sensors, as well as the air conditioning compressor, are the weak points in the original Pneuma. In addition, the original air suspension should be specially calibrated before adjusting the camber and toe.